I want an explanation for all of this, and I want it now. Mr. Dickens stood between the two sides of the conflict, separating Olivia and Morgana from the rest of the students who were still buzzing with agitation. Olivia, her expression calm but firm, explained to Mr. Dickens. This entire commotion is Delilah's doing. She's the one who put up these pictures of Amanda Wayne. It's some weird, twisted smear campaign against us. Mr. Dickens glanced around the room, his gaze landing on Delilah in the corner. Her face bore a self-satisfied smirk that didn't go unnoticed. Delilah, are you responsible for these photos? Mr. Dickens asked, his tone serious. Delilah met Olivia's challenging gaze, then turned to face Mr. Dickens. Yes, I did put up the pictures. Everyone needs to see the truth about what happened to Amanda. Mr. Dickens stood up, visibly angered. Remove these photos immediately. This is not the way to address your concerns. Delilah, standing her ground, retorted, I can't take them down. The school needs to see what Lena did to Amanda. Mr. Dickens' frustration mounted. Why not? Take them down now. Delilah defiantly responded, I won't. If you make me take them down, you're just as bad as Olivia and Morgana. The tension in the room escalated as Mr. Dickens began counting down from 10, his voice firm. You have 10 seconds, Delilah, or I will have to consider expulsion. Delilah's anger flared. You can't expel me. I have a right to free speech. You're all wrapped around Olivia's finger just like everyone else in this school. It's sad. Amanda is in a coma and no one cares. As Mr. Dickens reached the end of his countdown, another student from the Transfer Student Success Club approached Delilah, attempting to calm her. Delilah, it's not worth getting expelled over this. Huffing in frustration, Delilah finally agreed, albeit begrudgingly. Mr. Dickens watched intently as Delilah and the other students began to take down the photos. Mockingly, Delilah said to Mr. Dickens, Happy now? Watching us clean up our mess? Mr. Dickens remained silent, his expression stern as he watched the photos being removed. After the second period, Jake, Delilah, and a few other members of the Transfer Student Success Club strode down the hallway, their expressions a mix of frustration and determination. Delilah was venting to Jake. Mr. Dickens made me take down all the photos of Amanda, and every single post we made was deleted. It's clear we're being outmaneuvered and we need to do something about it. Jake nodded in agreement. I'm already ahead of you on that. That's why we're going straight to Olivia. Delilah, puzzled, asked, Why would we go to Olivia when we need to be going against her? Just follow my lead, Jake said confidently, guiding the group towards the classroom. Upon entering, they found Olivia sitting with her friends Millie, Morgana, Sam Feinstein, Francis, and the Pell twins. Olivia looked up, her surprise evident at the sight of Jake and his club members. What brings you and your little club here? Olivia asked with thinly veiled sarcasm. Jake rolled his eyes at Olivia's slip-up and said, I've had time to think. Oh, about what? Olivia questioned, her eyes narrowing slightly. About whether we should get the school's higher-ups involved in the Lena and Amanda incident, Jake explained. Olivia's expression hardened. Oh, really? Yes, it's the only way Amanda or Lena will get the justice they deserve, Jake added, emphasizing Amanda a bit more. Olivia shot back. Lena deserves justice. The truth should come out. Jake challenged her. Ready to go to the administrator's office, then? Olivia eyed him skeptically. You want to go right now? What's the rush, Jake? Why keep waiting? No need to prolong it, right? Jake asked as he eyed Olivia closely. Unless you might want to back down now and reveal everything you've done. Olivia feigned ignorance. I don't know what you're talking about. Jake accused. Of course you don't, because you're a good liar. There must be a reason all our attempts to publish Amanda's story are being stopped. And of course, Lena's best friend and Queen Bee of Marshall High must be behind it. Olivia's frustration was clear. Are you looking to start a battle you can't win? We're already at war, Olivia, and I fully intend to win. For Amanda, of course. Jake retorted. Of course, Olivia replied dryly. We'll be joining you when we go to the administrator's office, Jake inquired. I can go alone, Olivia stated firmly. I think you should bring backup, Jake suggested, a hint of mockery in his voice. Olivia rolled her eyes and looked at her friends. Millie, Morgana, Sam, Francis, you're coming with me. Camilla Pell spoke up. Cameron and I want to join too. Olivia nodded. Fine, the more the merrier. As the groups exited the classroom and headed towards the administrator's office, Jake gestured with faux politeness. After you. Olivia rolled her eyes at Jake's fake chivalry, leading the way with her group following. Delilah, walking alongside Jake, argued, Olivia, you can't hide the truth forever. Amanda is the victim here. Millie retorted, a victim? She's the one who started all this. Morgana chimed in, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Oh, poor Amanda, always the victim, never the instigator, right? Francis added, we all know the real story. Amanda isn't as innocent as you're making her out to be. Don't you guys get tired of only thinking what Olivia thinks? Jake asked as he walked ahead of Olivia and the rest of the groups. You're all brainwashed, following her blindly as she's leading you to your own destruction. Olivia watched Jake closely as she wondered, what is this guy up to? Mr. Dickens, busy with paperwork in the administration office, looked up just in time to see Jake and Olivia, each leading their respective groups, heading towards his office. He muttered under his breath, oh no, please don't come here, please don't come here, please don't come here. Despite his silent pleas, his sigh of frustration and defeat escaped him as Jake pushed open the door and the two groups filed into the office. Composing himself, Mr. Dickens asked, Jake, Olivia, what brings you all here? Before Olivia could get a word in, Jake took the opportunity to speak. He launched into a dramatic, embellished account. Mr. Dickens, you need to know the truth about what happened. Lena, she caused Amanda's accident. Amanda is in a coma because of her actions. We can't just stand by and let this injustice continue. Olivia and her friends exchanged looks of disbelief and shock at Jake's audacity, their expressions a mix of anger and incredulity. Mr. Dickens eyed Jake suspiciously, his experience as an administrator giving him an instinct for when a story didn't quite add up. I'm sorry to hear about what happened to both Lena and Amanda, but I'm puzzled. Why wasn't this reported sooner, if it's as you say? Jake continued his plea. We were trying to gather all the facts first. We didn't want to cause undue alarm. Olivia, seizing the opportunity to speak, interjected. That's because there are no facts supporting his story, Mr. Dickens. This is nothing but a baseless accusation. Mr. Dickens looked between the two groups, trying to gauge the situation. This is a serious claim, Jake. If you're alleging that Lena caused harm to Amanda, I need more than just your word. Olivia's patience was wearing thin. Jake doesn't have more than his word, Mr. Dickens, and his word is nothing but lies. Lena was harmed by Amanda, and we can prove it if we can get access to the school's security cameras. Jake, unwilling to back down, interjected. I would have proof if someone wasn't playing hacker and deleting all the evidence. Olivia's frustration was evident. There's no proof of your hacking allegations, Jake. Everything you're saying is just manufactured facts. Jake's anger flared. You and Millie orchestrated the whole thing so Lena could harm Amanda. That's the truth. Millie gasped, her face a mix of shock and anger. Mr. Dickens, Jake is lying. There is no way we'd ever plan something like that. Jake countered. I'm the only one here not lying. Millie and Olivia are the real manipulators. Olivia shot back. Jake's trying to switch everything on us because he knows the truth. Amanda is cruel and vindictive. She pushed Lena, probably at your behest, and now you're trying to rid yourself of your guilty conscience." "I have nothing to feel guilty about," Jake retorted, his voice steady. The argument reached a fever pitch until Mr. Dickens, clearly upset by the back and forth, yelled, "Enough! Be silent, all of you!" They all stopped and waited to hear him continue. Mr. Dickens exhaled and lowered his voice. "We're going to check the security footage and get to the bottom of this." Jake, with a hint of triumph in his voice, said, "Please do, Mr. Dickens. You'll see the truth then." Olivia, puzzled by Jake's confidence, gave him a searching look. Why is he so eager to check the footage? Did he do something to it? As Mr. Dickens led Jake, Olivia, and their groups through the hallway towards the surveillance room, their procession drew curious stares and whispers from other students. The corridors of Marshall High were abuzz with speculation and gossip. "Look, Jake and Olivia are heading to the surveillance room together," one student whispered to another, her eyes wide with curiosity. "I wonder what the footage will reveal." "I heard Olivia paid Lena to push Amanda down the stairs," another student speculated, leaning in to share the rumor. "It was probably payback for when Amanda was questioning Olivia's authority." "I heard it was the other way around," her friend replied. "Amanda was the one who pushed Lena, right? But why would she do that? Why would Amanda try to kill Lena?" "Stranger things have happened at this school," the friend said darkly. The hallway was a hive of whispered theories and conflicting stories, each group trying to piece together the narrative from the fragments of information they had heard. In the midst of this, Olivia and Jake walked with determined expressions, trying to ignore the rumors swirling around them. Mr. Dickens, leading the way, opened the door to the surveillance room, with Jake, Olivia, and their groups following closely behind. Olivia couldn't help but notice Jake's calm demeanor as they entered. She silently wondered, "Why do I feel like I'm walking into a trap? What does he have up his sleeve?" Taking a moment to probe Jake's thoughts, Olivia was startled by what she heard in her mind. Jake's internal voice echoed, "When they see there's no footage, I'll have Olivia right where I want her." Olivia shook her head. "He's a sneaky little snake," she thought to herself, her suspicions confirmed. Mr. Dickens approached the security guard. "I need a favor. Can you pull up the footage from yesterday?" "Of course," the guard replied, moving to the monitors. As the guard began searching for the footage, he seemed to struggle. Mr. Dickens, noticing the difficulty, asked, "What's going on?" The guard, a look of confusion crossing his face, responded, I can't find the footage. It should be here, but it's not." "That can't be possible," Mr. Dickens said, his brow furrowing. The guard was equally baffled. "I don't understand. It was all here this morning. It must have been deleted in the last few hours. Maybe during my lunch break or something." Olivia observed Jake closely, noticing a slight smirk beginning to form on his face. Her friends, meanwhile, were in shock at the revelation that the footage was missing. The members of the Transfer Student Success Club looked smug, their expressions implying they knew more than they were letting on. "I swear the footage was here," the guard insisted. "Someone must have deleted it." Seizing the moment, Jake turned to Millie. "Or maybe Miss Not-So-Innocent Millie deleted the footage to protect her guilty friend." Millie's face registered utter shock at the accusation. "I would never do such a thing," she exclaimed, her voice tinged with disbelief and hurt. Olivia instantly jumped to Millie's defense, her gaze piercing as she turned to face Jake. "Why not check the surveillance camera from this office itself? Let's see who really tampered with the footage today," she challenged, her tone dripping with confidence. Jake's smugness visibly faltered, replaced by a growing sense of panic. The other members of the Transfer Student Success Club shared his unease, their expressions turning to worry. Jake's eyes darted to Cyrus, who had been trying to remain inconspicuous at the back of the room. Cyrus, caught off guard, looked back at Jake with wide, terrified eyes. In his mind, Cyrus was panicking. Oh no. Oh no, oh no. I forgot to delete the footage of me sneaking in here. The security guard, following Olivia's suggestion, pulled up the footage from the office's surveillance camera. The room fell silent as everyone's attention turned to the screen. There was an audible gasp as the footage clearly showed Cyrus tampering with and deleting the surveillance footage. Jake's thoughts raced as he looked at Olivia. That little manipulative. Did she know? How did she know? This can't be possible. Olivia returned his gaze with a smug grin, clearly pleased with how the events were unfolding. Mr. Dickens turned to Cyrus, his voice stern and filled with disappointment. It's against school rules and the law to tamper with surveillance footage. I can't believe a student would stoop to such extremes, and for what? He then turned his attention to the rest of the group. Who else was involved in this terrible act? His eyes landed on Jake, his look accusatory. Jake, did you have a part in this? Jake, his face a mask of panic, quickly turned against Cyrus, throwing him under the bus. I had no idea the footage was missing, let alone that Cyrus deleted it, he exclaimed, feigning innocence. I care about my friend Amanda and would never stoop so low as to tamper with evidence. Mr. Dickens turned his questioning gaze to Cyrus, seeking the truth. Cyrus glanced nervously at Jake, then back at Mr. Dickens, and surprisingly agreed with Jake. Jake had nothing to do with it. It was Olivia and Millie who made me delete the footage, he blurted out. Olivia's surprise was evident. She hadn't expected Cyrus to shoulder all the blame, let alone accuse her and Millie. Cyrus continued. Olivia and Millie threatened me. They said they'd make my life a living hell at Marshall if I didn't delete the footage. Both Olivia and Millie immediately refuted Cyrus's accusations. That's ridiculous. Why would we ever do something like that? Olivia argued. Yeah, we didn't threaten anyone. This is just a desperate attempt to shift the blame, Millie added. Mr. Dickens looked at Cyrus, his expression skeptical. Is that really what happened, Cyrus? Other members of the Transfer Student Success Club began to chime in, supporting Cyrus's claim. It's true, one of them said. Olivia and Millie have been threatening Cyrus and all of us to keep quiet about what really happened to Amanda. They've been bullying us since we arrived at Marshall, another club member added, their voice trembling slightly. Delilah, seizing the moment, added fuel to the fire. They even bullied Amanda. That's why they deleted the footage. They're trying to cover up their tracks. As the accusations against Millie and Olivia grew louder, Olivia reached out and protectively grabbed Millie's hand, both of them looking around in shock at the barrage of lies being spewed by the members of the Transfer Student Success Club. The room was filled with a chaotic symphony of voices, each one pitching its own version of the story. You think you can just bully everyone around here and get away with it, don't you? One of the club members spat out at Millie. Yeah, we've all seen how you treat people like Amanda. You're nothing but a mean girl, added another. The room was filled with various students voicing their support for the accusations, some sharing exaggerated stories and hearsay, building up the narrative against Millie and Olivia. In the midst of this commotion, a stern adult voice cut through the noise. That Millie is a bully. All heads turned toward the door to see two adults standing there. Mr. and Mrs. Wayne? Mr. Dickens said, surprised to see them there. So these are Amanda's parents, Olivia thought. Amanda and her mother look so much alike they could be sisters. But what the hell are they doing here? Amanda's parents wore expressions of anger and grief. Mrs. Wayne stepped forward, her eyes fixed on Millie. Millie is a cruel, mean girl who is jealous of Amanda. She made my daughter suffer. Mrs. Wayne's voice trembled with emotion as she addressed everyone in the room. You should all be ashamed of harboring such a harmful student. You should all be ashamed of harboring such a harmful student. Amanda has always been good and kind, and this is how she's repaid? The Transfer Student Success Club members in the room began murmuring amongst themselves, some nodding in agreement with Amanda's mother, others looking unsure. Olivia and her friends tried to speak up, attempting to defend themselves against the barrage of accusations. "That's not true," Olivia started but was swiftly interrupted. Amanda's father, his voice firm and resolute, interjected. "It's clear to us what happened. Our daughter is in a coma because of them. This is an open and shut case." Millie's face was a picture of shock and fear, her eyes darting around the room as the accusations continued to fly. More students chimed in, echoing the sentiments of Amanda's mother. "I've seen Millie being mean to Amanda," one claimed. "She always had it out for her," said another. Amanda's mother, addressing the room, added, "Millie is the reason my daughter is lying in a hospital bed. She has tormented Amanda for far too long." Amanda's mother continued as she insisted, "We need the police involved. This has gone too far." Olivia looked around the room as she tried to devise a plan. "These people are horrible, ganging up on Millie for no reason," Olivia thought. "It's clear Amanda's parents aren't going to back down. I guess if you can't beat them, join them, right?" Olivia stepped forward. To everyone's shock, Olivia spoke up in agreement. "Yes, let's get to the bottom of this. I'll even call the police right now." Millie turned to Olivia, her eyes wide with shock and disbelief. "What is she doing?" While Millie's mind reeled, someone else in the room was also panicking at the mention of calling the police. Cyrus broke into a cold sweat. If the police got involved, he wouldn't just be lying to the school, he'd be a criminal. "I can't go to jail," he worried internally. The rest of the Transfer Student Success Club members in the room exchanged panicked looks. They all had something to hide. Cyrus wondered to himself, why did Amanda's parents have to show up and escalate things? We had this under control. Jake took charge. He cleared his throat. "Mr. and Mrs. Wayne, I don't think it's necessary to involve the police. We're all worried for Amanda and outraged about what happened to her. But having the police endlessly question her while she tries to heal and putting a bigger spotlight on this while she needs privacy wouldn't be good for her at all." Amanda's mother frowned. "Why wouldn't that be good for her? She's the victim. Everyone should know what they did to her." Mrs. Wayne had always been overprotective of Amanda, and she always worried about what might happen to her daughter when she was out of her sight. She was terrified to receive the call that Amanda had been sent to the hospital by a bully, and now trembled with rage. She turned angrily to Mr. Dickens while her husband crossed his arms behind her. You're the one who let this happen to our daughter on your watch. Are the teachers here all trash? This overpriced school is a dump. If we wanted her in mortal danger with a bunch of classless monsters, we would have put her in public school." Delilah, seeing that Jake's attempt had failed, took a step toward Mrs. Wayne. "Ma'am, Amanda and I are good friends. I feel sick seeing her in that hospital bed like that. It's all their fault." She raised a finger and pointed at Olivia and Millie. "They're the reason why Amanda was hurt so badly." "Delilah," Jake admonished, his voice a sharp warning. He thought to himself, how could she say that now when they're about to call the police? If they dig into this at all, everything points back to us. She's so stupid. Delilah saw that Jake looked angry with her, and her eyes widened with fear. Mr. Dickens raised his hand, weakly trying to gain control of the room. "I can understand all of the strong feelings here, but I hope you can all still trust the school to resolve this matter. Believe what?" Amanda's mother interrupted before he could finish his sentence. "I trust your Marshall school too much already. I sent her to be in your care, and now she hasn't woke up yet." Tears started to form in her eyes. "How could I possibly trust you anymore?" Mr. Dickens was at a loss. He looked down at the floor, ashamed. Amanda's father shook his head, anger rising. "No, we have to call the police. What happened to this school? It used to be prestigious. It used to be about learning and preparing kids who are destined for greatness. What happened to you?" He turned to Millie. "You're so smart, so talented. Kids from Marshall are supposed to end up in the Ivy League. Kids who go to the Ivy League never do anything bad. But now you're the school bully?" "Excuse me," said a new man's voice, and the group parted to reveal him in the doorway. "Principal Yan." Mrs. Wayne narrowed her eyes at him. Millie shifted her weight, uncomfortable. Not only was she in hot water and being accused of something horrible right now in front of all these people, but now the principal has arrived, and he just so happened to be her dad. Principal Yan smoothed his hair. "Even if you want to involve the police, I ask that you please just give me 1 hour to investigate with the students on my own before you call them. I need to know what happened in my school. After 1 hour, if you want to call the police or anything else, it's up to you. Would that be possible?" Mr. and Mrs. Wayne exchanged looks, then she spoke up. "Fine, because it won't make a difference. These 3 students, the 2 here and the 1 in the hospital, need to be expelled for what they've done." Principal Yan nodded. "We will see what I think once I have investigated." He addressed the room as a whole. "While I look into this, all of the students who were not directly involved in this need to go back to your respective classrooms. The 3rd period is about to start." The extraneous Transfer Student Success Club students all scowled, but headed off for their classrooms. The room seemed much less suffocating and crowded. Principal Yan assessed the group thoughtfully. He finally spoke. "First, I need someone who witnessed the entire event to tell me what happened from start to finish." He glanced at Millie. "Didn't you see it?" Millie shook her head. "I sort of blacked out. I don't know, we were talking. Then the next thing I knew, Lena was at the bottom of the stairs." Mrs. Wayne scoffed. "Oh, very convenient. You're not even trying to come up with an alibi for your friend. Just some sudden amnesia." "Mrs. Wayne," Principal Yan gently reprimanded, "please let me do my job. Now, who saw the whole thing?" "Me." Delilah raised a hand. "I was with Amanda Wayne yesterday when she got hurt." "Then please tell us what happened," Principal Yan asked gently but firmly. "And keeping in mind that the police will probably be involved later, I hope that you will tell the truth." Mr. Wayne frowned. "Principal, are you threatening your students?" Principal Yan closed his eyes, trying to be patient. "I want to make sure what she says is the truth." Delilah cleared her throat. "Yesterday, we met Lena and the others on the stairs outside the school. And then—" Delilah paused, her eyes fluttering with what Olivia felt was fake emotion. "And then Amanda made a joke, just an innocent little joke. But Lena didn't think so. She flew into a rage like that monster man from the movies who gets big and green when he gets mad." Millie muttered to herself, "Is that a joke? She doesn't know his name." Delilah tossed her ponytail back over her shoulder. "Lena had all this angry ogre strength and she yelled, pushing Amanda down the stairs. But she pushed her so hard that her momentum carried her down the stairs too. And once they were at the bottom, she held Amanda down just to make sure she was really hurt. It's such a clear-cut case that Lena was a monster responsible for the whole thing that I think we actually don't even need to call the police." With that last part, she smiled at Jake, hoping she was back in his good graces. He didn't meet her gaze. Principal Yan frowned, absorbing this. "What was the joke?" "Who cares what the joke was?" Mrs. Wayne interrupted. "Even if it were a completely horrible joke, that doesn't justify the other girl pushing her down the stairs." "Mrs. Wayne," Principal Yan said gently, "I'm going to ask a few questions now, and you are welcome to say your piece when the police arrive." Mrs. Wayne looked extremely offended. Principal Yan turned back to Delilah. "What was the joke?" Delilah stuttered, caught. I can't remember." "I see." He nodded. "You said you met Lena by accident on the stairs, right?" Delilah nodded. "Yes. Is there anyone else who can speak to that? He asked. I was there and I saw that happen. Cyrus spoke up. He figured this was a smart time to vaguely back up Delilah's story in a way that he could still say he was actually pretty far away or didn't hear or something like that. Mrs. Wayne looked smug. Well, that seems clear, Principal Yan. Should you make a decision now? I'd like to continue this in my office, Principal Yan said. Mr. Wayne jumped in. What? Why? Does Principal Yan want this to be even more on his own turf? He looked at Olivia and Millie suspiciously. Olivia Johnson is famous in the city and Millie is known in the school for how smart she is. Of course he'll want to protect them. This is completely inappropriate. Millie wrinkled her nose at the way Amanda's parents were acting, and the way Mr. Wayne was looking at Principal Yan. What would we even be protected from? Delilah didn't even mention anything about me and Olivia during everything that happened. Mr. and Mrs. Wayne's mouths fell open, realizing that Millie was correct. Delilah chimed in again, trying to be helpful. You were both with that ogre Lena at the time. That's true, even though I didn't say it just now before. Are you sure? Principal Yan asked. I'm sure, Delilah almost shouted. Principal Yan narrowed his eyes, unsure if he believed her. But are you very, very sure? He asked. Delilah swallowed. Her throat was dry. I'm very, very sure. Olivia and Millie made eye contact, and they each smirked at the same time. Mrs. Wayne saw this and threw her hands up angrily. What else do you have to say? Principal, Olivia began. I wasn't at school yesterday afternoon. All of the students and teachers in my classes can back that up. I also submitted a note yesterday afternoon when I left, so we should have a record of that in the office. Olivia turned to face Delilah, feeling like she might as well have just said, checkmate. I really don't know why she seems so certain that she saw me when I wasn't there, Olivia said, unless we can't trust the rest of her story at all. Delilah froze. It seemed like Olivia caught her in a lie in front of everybody. Olivia spoke slowly. I can't have seen Lena and Amanda fall down the stairs, Delilah. I wasn't even in school. Delilah forced herself to stop panicking and come up with an idea for how to save herself. She pointed behind Olivia. I was wrong. It wasn't Olivia, it was her. The person she pointed to was Camilla Pell. Me? Camilla cried, pointing at herself. She seemed more surprised than anybody to be suddenly roped into this. I was in late class at that time. All of my classes are with my brother, so you can ask him. The surveillance footage from our class shouldn't have been deleted the way the other stuff was, she said pointedly, so you guys can check for yourselves. Hearing Camilla Pell's airtight denial, everyone looked back to Delilah. She didn't know what to say in response for a moment. Mrs. Wayne frowned, unhappy with how this back and forth was making her daughter look. Did you see it or not? She asked Delilah. You seem like an unreliable witness. I saw it, Delilah insisted. Mrs. Wayne, I'm very good friends with Amanda. We're so close. When this happened, it was so sudden. It all happened so fast, and I was so scared. It's normal in a situation like this to forget some of the more important details. Olivia thought to herself, she can't decide to lie this much if she's so bad at thinking on her feet. Olivia smiled at Delilah. It sounded like this situation was anything but unimportant. What a weird word to choose. Delilah choked, unable to form a response. Jake stepped in. Olivia, I know you're used to being treated like you're in charge of the school, but you are not. Is there any point in insisting on whether a detail is important, or are you just diverting everyone's attention? I'm confused, Olivia said insincerely with a cold smile. Are you saying I'm more important than I am? Or am I the mastermind who orchestrates situations I'm not even physically involved in? Enough, Mrs. Wayne shouted. No matter what, you seem like the kind of evil child responsible for my daughter getting injured. I'm fed up with this rat's nest of a school. I was blind to send my daughter here." Millie angrily interjected to defend Olivia. "Be careful what you say, lady." Mrs. Wayne turned her glare on Millie. "Be careful what I say? You were present for this incident and might have made the whole thing happen. You should be careful what you say." Principal Yan raised his hands, and the temperature of the room felt like it chilled a few degrees. "Follow me to my office. We need an area that's more private to conduct this." He straightened his jacket. "And rest assured that if I find that the responsibility of this incident lies with any student from the Marshall School, I will not be lenient." Mr. Wayne snorted coldly. "I certainly hope you are not." Principal Yan beckoned to everyone. "All of my students come with me, and Mr. and Mrs. Wayne. Do you have any problems coming to my office? If you prefer to stay here, you can do so as well." "Ew!" Mrs. Wayne wasn't pleased with being spoken to like this. In her mind, acting calmly in this situation was an insult. "How dare you give me this attitude while my daughter lies unconscious from her injuries?" Principal Yan continued speaking just as calmly. "Ma'am, it is my opinion that this is the attitude the principal of a school, especially one as prestigious as Marshall, should have." He turned and walked toward his office, with the students following behind him. Millie and Olivia followed immediately behind Principal Yan. Jake Nevin frowned and gave a look to the students in the Transfer Student Success Club, who waited for instructions. He jerked his head toward Principal Yan and they all followed. Amanda Wayne's parents had no choice at this point but to follow the group if they wanted to stay involved. Mrs. Wayne seethed to her husband. "If he cannot give us a satisfactory answer on what happened, we are calling the whole education authority in New York to remove him from the head of this school." As everyone filed into Principal Yan's office, he asked Delilah to repeat her story, which she did, looking much less smug. She repeated her version, but this time she admitted her accusations against Olivia and Camilla. Principal Yan turned to Cyrus and asked him to repeat his story about deleting the surveillance camera footage. Cyrus looked to Jake and gritted his teeth, already feeling that his side was losing the argument, but dutifully repeated the version about deleting the footage because Olivia and Millie threatened him. Mrs. Wayne rolled her eyes unhappily as she heard all of this, displeased that they were just repeating information. "How is this making any progress? Are you just running the clock, Principal? I don't even know how you got this job," she scoffed. Principal Yan did not address this. He simply addressed the room. "The school surveillance videos provide comfort to the students and staff of this school, as well as all of the students' parents. Since it is so monumentally important, every surveillance video is automatically sent every day to the hard drive on the computer in my office, so we have more than one copy." Principal Yan tapped his keyboard with a fingertip and turned on the computer. He also turned on a projector that shone onto the back wall of his office. Everyone watched on the wall as he entered the date and a hidden password. He logged in and immediately video files appeared. He chose the video that included a specific time and then played the video on fast forward. Looking at the video as it appeared, Jake, Delilah, and their allies' faces instantly paled. Jake's legs became wobbly. Jake panicked to himself. "The principal has a damn backup copy? Nobody does that. Why is the Marshall School so abnormal?" Everyone saw Millie and Morgana appear in the video and walk downstairs. Lena followed slowly behind them. When she was at the top of the stairs, Amanda Wayne and her cronies, including Delilah, caught up from behind and stopped her. Olivia smirked. "What happened to just meeting coincidentally, she wondered aloud. Delilah scrambled to respond. "Even if we did look to talk to her especially, what does that matter? It's a free country. That doesn't mean anything." Millie shook her head. "These expressions don't make it look like they were just talking about something." It was obvious to everyone, even without sound, that Amanda Wayne did not arrive with good intentions and looked angry for their whole discussion. Lena tried to walk around them a few times but was stopped by Amanda. The two of them began to argue more heatedly. Mrs. Wayne clenched her fists at her side. Even if they argued, the other girl had no right to push her. It doesn't matter what Amanda said to her, it's her responsibility because she pushed her. Mr. and Mrs. Wayne were both nervous. It did look like their daughter was looking for trouble. In the video, Lena angrily waved her fists and threatened something. Amanda smiled and stepped aside. Just as Lena was about to walk away from them down the stairs, Amanda clearly grinned and stretched out her leg to trip Lena. The camera was at a perfect angle to capture all of this clear as day. Principal Yan stopped the video. "It seems that we have found the truth of the matter," he said with a cool gaze. Mrs. Wayne shook her head in disbelief, desperately searching for another possibility for what she had just witnessed. "No way. If this was all Amanda's fault, then how was she so badly injured? Tell me that. It can't be the whole story." Principal Yan looked at her impassive. He pressed the play button again. Everyone saw Lena trip and reach for Amanda the moment she started to fall down the stairs. But everyone was shocked to see that Lena's fingers did not close around any part of Amanda's body or clothes. Lena grasped wildly, finding only air. Then she pulled lightly at the end of Amanda's sleeve. Amanda lost her balance, but Lena fell down out of the frame. Amanda reached back to grab Delilah behind her to steady herself, but Delilah immediately shook her off. Amanda, unable to grab a hold of anything else, tumbled down the stairs after Lena. Everyone in Principal Yan's office was dumbfounded. It wasn't Lena's fault that Amanda fell. It was Delilah's. Everyone stared at Delilah. She was only worried that she would be implicated. She didn't think the blame could fall squarely on her. Amanda's mother turned her scarlet face on Delilah. "So it was you. Good friend, You're disgusting." Delilah took a few steps backward, dazed, and turned to look at Jake. "What do I do?" she muttered to him. He shrugged and fiercely whispered back, "How would I know?" Principal Yan stood. "Since we know everything that happened, I have no choice but to expel Delilah, Cyrus, and Amanda from school, effective immediately. I also believe that the Transfer Student Success Club needs to be forcibly disbanded." A gasp rippled through the room. "You can't be serious." Amanda Wayne's parents and Jake Nevin cried in horror at the same time. Principal Yan had just announced that Amanda, Delilah, and Cyrus would be expelled, and that the Transfer Student Success Club would be disbanded. Delilah was more subdued but still flabbergasted. "What? Why?" Mrs. Wayne sputtered indignantly. "My daughter is the victim. Why should she have to withdraw from school? The other kid should withdraw from school." Principal Yan kept his calm demeanor. "Amanda is not withdrawing," he said to the Waynes' puzzled faces. "She is being expelled." That caused them to dissolve into shouting once more. Jake tried to step in front of Mr. and Mrs. Wayne. "This is their own private matter. Why should it involve the Transfer Student Success Club? I cannot accept innocent transfer students being punished for this." Jake thought to himself, "The TSSC is my blood, sweat, and tears. It was an important step in stabilizing the status of the whole Nevin family. I can't let it go away." Delilah ran her hands nervously along her sleek ponytail, her smug exterior completely gone in favor of displaying herself as a weak damsel in distress. "Principal Yan, I didn't do it on purpose. I can't leave school, my whole future. I love Marshall." Mrs. Wayne turned to Delilah, incredulous. "You absolutely deserve to leave this school. We're not finished with you. It's because of you that Amanda is in a coma." Delilah bit her lower lip and stopped protesting, ashamed. Cyrus, on the other hand, was calm and resigned. He lowered his head and did not beg or plead. His face alternated between green and white. Olivia noticed this and felt some sympathy for him. He had the look of someone who knew they could not escape. Principal Yan continued patiently explaining to the room. "Marshall High School has always had the highest standards for behavior from our students, especially when it comes to physical violence and bullying." He coldly looked over Jake, Delilah, and Amanda's parents. Although Amanda did suffer in the end from this situation, She was responsible for another student falling down a flight of stairs and fracturing her leg. Amanda's father spoke up. How much are her medical bills? We can cover her completely. Can Amanda stay at Marshall then? Principal Yan raised a hand. That is a private negotiation between yourselves and Lena's guardians. This has nothing to do with Marshall School, and I will not interfere. But because of Amanda Wayne's actions, she does not have the right to continue studying at this school. His tone was unflappably firm. Then, Jake looked nervous. What does this all have to do with me? Why is the Transfer Student Success Club being punished? Principal Yan sighed. Your club was established in the first place because you mentioned on your application that you wished to create a bridge between the transfer students and the students who were already here at Marshall. The goal, as you stated, was to help students integrate into the community. Of course, I have sympathy for any transfer student and believe that this was a smart goal to help them succeed. However, that seems to be the complete opposite of what you have done with the club in reality. Principal Yan looked coldly at Jake's defiant face. Since that's the case, Marshall School does not benefit from the club's existence. I need to disband it for the health of the school. No, you don't understand. Jake tried to argue, but Principal Yan interrupted him, still in his soft, authoritative tone. If you have any objections to my decision, you can also choose to withdraw from Marshall School. Principal Yan narrowed his eyes at Jake. During this period, I have received a lot of reports. I have heard that you have gathered outside the school and intimidated classmates who are unwilling to join your club. It is difficult for me to exercise my authority in matters that happen outside of school. But you have to remember, we have only the highest standards here at Marshall. Jake gritted his teeth and glared at Olivia. The last time he and a group ganged up on Phil Eggers, Olivia had witnessed what happened. He assumed angrily that she must have reported it. Jake thought bitterly. Phil is an idiot. He wouldn't have the guts to report it himself. Mark DeLillo's words echoed in Jake's ears. Olivia was indeed a formidable obstacle, a powerful stumbling block. Principal Yan frowned at Delilah, his expression more disappointed than anything. I don't know why you have chosen to make unwarranted false claims against Millie Brown and Olivia Johnson. However, whatever your reason is, it demonstrates that you do not have the integrity required to represent Marshall School. It is necessary that you are expelled. Delilah clenched her fists, finding a renewed drive to not give up. Principal Yan turned to the rest of the students present from the Transfer Student Success Club. It is not lost on me how many of you students were present for the events of that video and did not intervene. You will not be punished at this time, but depending on your future actions, this fact will be taken into account. The students didn't dare try to argue. They certainly wanted to, but watching their allies get expelled and the TSSC get disbanded left them feeling like now was not the time to look for a fight. Principal Yan straightened his posture. All right then. Now I believe that this matter has been resolved. If anyone still wishes to call the police, please feel free to do so. Thank you for giving me this time. Amanda Wayne's parents were frozen. Their daughter tripped Lena first of all, and it seemed like the only peer victim of the entire situation was Lena. They did not say so, but they knew it would be very stupid of them to call the police. Principal Yan's gaze swept across Mr. and Mrs. Wayne. No? He gave a nod, refusing to gloat even as he delivered his thorough rebuke of Mr. and Mrs. Wayne. His eyes rested on Millie, growing soft. Millie, you have been wronged in this situation. You can go back to class first. Just a moment, Olivia interjected. The matter as far as the school is concerned is settled, but shouldn't we settle some personal matters as well? Jake gritted his teeth, not believing that this nightmare still wasn't over. He stared at Olivia, seething. What else could you possibly want to do? He boiled internally, thinking to himself, it's all because of this harpy that I lost all of that hard work. What more could she want? Olivia met Jake's glare. First, Millie and I have suffered a great blow to our reputation because of all this. This morning, the members of the Transfer Student Success Club posted false information on the school bulletin board to slander us. I want all of the former members of the Transfer Student Success Club to clear up this matter before the bulletin board and formally apologize to us for what was said. I don't think this request is unreasonable." Olivia smiled, thinking internally, "Is Jake trying to escape unscathed after firing those shots at us? If you come for me, you better not miss." One of the Transfer Student Success Club members cried, "This has nothing to do with us. Are we supposed to apologize openly on the bulletin board? What is wrong with this messed up school? We've already been punished and our club can't exist anymore. Why do you need this too?" Olivia shrugged. "What do you mean it has nothing to do with you? You did something wrong, and I'm asking for you to apologize for your actions." Principal Yan nodded. "That makes sense to me. The members of the former club need to apologize to Olivia Johnson and Millie Brown. Mr. Dickens, you will supervise this matter." Mr. Dickens nodded, excited to teach the misbehaving students a lesson. The former club's members shook their heads and gritted their teeth. Olivia turned to Mr. and Mrs. Wayne. "Since everyone has seen the video just now then, regarding the issue of Lena's compensation." Mr. Wayne cried, "What does it have to do with you?" Olivia gave the Waynes a fake smile. "Oh, I am so sorry. I should explain. Outside of school, I'm the person in charge of Confluence Technology's game department, and Lena is one of my most important team members. It is appropriate for me to seek compensation for losing one of my subordinates, correct?" "You," Mr. Wayne gritted his teeth, "you are going too far. My daughter is still lying on the hospital and has yet to wake up." Olivia waved a hand. "Oh, I won't go too far. If you are willing to discuss this in private, I will try my best. It will be as simple as finding a price that both parties are satisfied with. But if it is easier, I can officially file a lawsuit and we can settle this with our lawyers." The Waynes were so impotently angry that they trembled, but Olivia continued with a smile. "I would caution against taking the legal avenue, though. Since Amanda is legally an adult, you might find your daughter discharged from the hospital and sent straight to prison. The choice is up to you." You can't do this. This is blackmail. You're blackmailing us," Amanda's father roared. "Blackmail, that's so negative," Olivia sighed. "I haven't even said how much money it is. Depending on how you look at it, this is an opportunity. You have a choice here to pick a much better outcome for Amanda. Considering all the options, I know which one I would choose if I were in your shoes." Olivia turned to her friend. "Millie, I'm not as knowledgeable about legal rules. You read up on that type of thing a lot more than I do. What's the sentence for deliberately hurting someone?" "Intentionally hurting someone with forethought is..." Millie quickly double-checked her phone. "Up to 3 years in prison. That might sound bad enough, but then even if Amanda did her time, once she got out, it would be impossible for her to get into a good college. Not just in the United States, either," Olivia added. "Once the criminal assault of another student is on Amanda's record, she won't be able to study anywhere overseas either." "This is unbelievable. You two are outrageous," Amanda's mother stammered. "How dare you?" "How dare we, really?" Olivia brought her hand to her chest, mock offended. "We are helping you weigh all the pros and cons of your options." Millie blinked innocently. "Principal Yan, take a good look at your students. Do you see what's going on?" Amanda's father pointed at Millie and Olivia. "They're doing this right in front of your face." "This is between us and you. There's no point in trying to get the principal involved," Olivia snorted. "We're offering you the chance to settle this privately with us. It's actually pretty generous if you think about it." "She's right," Millie nodded in agreement. "Not everybody would make the same offer. You'd be stuck being at the mercy of the system and it would be out of your hands. The law really doesn't give a lot of choices." "This is ridiculous. You're robbing us blind," Amanda's mother exclaimed. "Calling it that is your choice, but it's not going to help you." Olivia crossed her arms confidently in front of her chest. I don't think you want to be insulting us right now, given the position you're in, and we're offering you the only good alternative." Millie crossed her arms in front of her chest the same way Olivia did. Their whole presentation was very impressively coordinated without having rehearsed, down to the way they spoke and even the choreography. Mr. and Mrs. Wayne were speechless. They had never seen anything like this, much less from some teenagers. "You're going to have to make a decision pretty soon. We don't have a lot of time to waste." Olivia picked up her phone and checked the time. "If you don't like what we're offering, you can go ahead and just call the police now." "Yeah, if you still want to call the police, you better do it soon." Millie checked her phone for the time as well for effect. The last time the police came, they got here in under 20 minutes. "We'll handle it privately," Amanda's mother said quietly. Her eyes were closed and her brows knit into a deep frown from the strain of the decision. The last thing she wanted to do was give in to Olivia and Millie's demands. But after considering everything, they had to do what they must for the sake of Amanda's future. Amanda's father gritted his teeth and agreed. "Yes, we'll handle it privately. No one is calling the police." "Great. Now, is that so hard? We could have saved so much time just deciding that in the first place, instead of all this going around in circles only to get to the same destination." Olivia snorted. She enjoyed making entitled people like them angry. "She's right. That was a huge waste of time for all of us." Millie agreed. She loved playing backup for Olivia on this mission. It satisfied the rage she felt about what Amanda had done to Lena in the first place. Sometimes a little revenge does go a long way, Millie thought to herself. Olivia heard Millie's thoughts about revenge and smiled to herself. If only you knew the half of it, Millie. All right. We will pay $50,000 at most," Amanda's mother reluctantly declared. Millie and Olivia turned to look at each other and then burst into laughter. "You're really not understanding the situation, are you?" Olivia shook her head. "You've agreed to handle this privately. That's a good first step. But we still need to appraise the damage Amanda caused to Lena. You can't just decide what you owe. And if you don't like it, you can always just go back to letting the police handle it," Millie added. "Just remember to really consider the price of Amanda's future. How much is that worth?" Mr. and Mrs. Wayne sat in stunned silence. Their faces turned red with rage, but they held their tongues. Amanda's father nodded in defeat and signaled his agreement to their terms. "You're making the right choice," Olivia assured them. Mr. and Mrs. Wayne's loathing suddenly shifted toward Delilah. Whatever huge number Olivia and Millie would come up with, they would double that cost and charge it to Delilah. This is all that girl's fault for roping Amanda into this. Amanda's parents seethed. Delilah shifted uncomfortably from their silent, angry stares. "Just you wait," Amanda's mother finally said at last. She glared at Delilah and gritted her teeth before storming out of the principal's office. Amanda's father stared daggers at Delilah as well before following his wife out of the office. Delilah stammered. She had turned a sickly shade of pale green as everything played out in front of her. The members of the Transfer Student Success Club were stunned. Now this is the one who runs things at this school, they thought. What we've been up to this whole time has been kid stuff. This is the real deal. Olivia pretended not to hear their impressed thoughts, but she enjoyed knowing she had put the Transfer Student Success Club members in their place. "Okay, everyone," Principal Yan said and cleared his throat uncomfortably to break the silence. "Since this matter has been settled, you can all go back to your classes. Third period is almost over. We've spent long enough on this." The students followed Principal Yan's directions and walked out of his office. "Hey, don't forget your public apology obligations after school. Whoever tries to sneak out or not show up will have to face the very real consequences," Mr. Dickens called out after the Transfer Student Success Club members. Jake Nevins gritted his teeth. This is not over, he thought menacingly. Later that day after school, the members of the Transfer Student Success Club stood in front of the whiteboard all together in a line. They apologized together as a group. The more they explained and begged for forgiveness, the more pathetic and cringier the whole thing felt. At their last school, they had lorded over all the other students. Now they had all fallen so far, it was completely shameful. It was going to be difficult for them to live this down. Olivia and her friends watched the apology display and struggled to conceal their satisfied grins. Some struggled not to laugh. It was so uncomfortable. Olivia was the only one who would appreciate the true significance of the moment. She knew the alternative future events were much worse. But with this incident, the Transfer Student Success Club had handed her the opportunity to change the future for the better. Their reputation was tarnished forever and destroyed. They were finished before they got started. Olivia felt grateful that the future of Marshall High was changed seemingly for the better. But little did she know that her troubles with Jake Nevin had only just begun. That night, after everyone else had gone to sleep, Jake Nevin stood staring out of his large window. He gritted his teeth and clenched his fists as he thought about how royally Olivia had ruined everything for him. Damn that Olivia Johnson. I can't sleep and it's all because of her. How did she get away with this? I have to get her back. Somehow. Suddenly, Jake's angry thoughts were interrupted when his phone vibrated on the nightstand next to him. He took a deep breath and looked at his phone. It was a call from an unfamiliar number. He frowned, confused. Who is calling me this late at night? Jake was not in the mood to answer any random phone calls. He quickly dismissed the call and went back to seething at the window. The more he thought about the mysterious phone number, the more it bothered him. All of his anger at Olivia and the unknown caller swirled together and surged through him. He was so angry he wanted to throw the phone across the room. He could always get another one. Replacing phones he had destroyed in a rage happened fairly often, and it was never a problem for him. Jake impulsively grabbed his phone, but before he could do anything, it vibrated again. He recognized it as the same mystery number from a few moments ago. Who is this? Jake demanded when he answered the call. This better be really worth my time. After 2 seconds of silence, a male voice chuckled on the other end of the line. Sounds like Jake Nevin is in a bad mood. Jake frowned. The voice sounded familiar to him. What's wrong? The male voice continued. Did Olivia ruin your day? Jake narrowed his eyes suspiciously, then remembered the name. Mark DeLillo. Mark laughed and replied, Good memory, Jake. Jake gritted his teeth, annoyed. What do you want, Mark? I want to be your friend, Mark said with an audible smile. If you're not busy at the moment, I want to have a quick chat with you. What could you possibly have to say to me? Jake snorted. You thought you could handle Olivia without me, and it backfired. Mark stated coolly. I get it, you had to try. But now you know you can't do it alone. And that's all right because now there should be nothing holding you back from working with me. Jake paused, then answered. I get what you're saying. Choose the time and place and we'll talk. Great, Mark smiled. Looking forward to it. Ha ha ha. Principal Yan laughed heartily as he read over a document. Huh? Uncle Eric looked up at his brother's outburst. What's so funny? Nothing. I was just so amused by Millie today. Principal Yan smiled with relief. I was worried that she might be struggling out there in her life when she's outside of class. But now I know my worries were unfounded. She stands up for herself just fine. I'm very proud. I see. Uncle Eric smiled. Young Miss Millie is growing and thriving. You can rest assured. Yes. Principal Yan nodded his head. It seems like just yesterday she was a little girl. It's like I blinked and she's already an impressive teenager. It's so true. Uncle Eric agreed. It's already her senior year of high school, and the second half at that. It all goes so fast. Has Millie said which university she wants to go to? I figured she'd tell me when she's decided. Principal Yan smiled. I suspect she'll want to go where her friend Olivia goes. Uncle Eric frowned slightly at that. Do you ever think Millie might be too close to Olivia? It's one thing to be good friends, but Millie seems very influenced by her, he said, a little worried. The news about Olivia online is pretty eyebrow-raising if you ask me, he added. I just wonder about someone who is capable of chasing her grandfather and uncle out of their business like that. I'm not worried. Principal Yan shook his head with certainty. Millie still makes her own decisions. I trust her. That's good. Uncle Eric nodded. He checked his tea and frowned. I'm going to reheat this tea, he said. Sure. Principal Yan smiled and waved his hand. Uncle Eric walked out of the study with the teapot in his hand. As soon as he entered the hallway, he found Derek leaning against the wall, lurking outside the study. Derek! Uncle Eric started to question. Just pretend you haven't seen me. Derek interrupted. With that, he turned around and tried to hurry away. Derek, wait a moment, Uncle Eric said as he rushed to catch up with Derek. I just want to say something to you. Okay. Derek hesitated awkwardly. He didn't really want to talk. I know you dropped out of high school and you have your reasons, Uncle Eric continued. But have you considered going back to get your diploma? Uncle Eric, you don't have to worry about my business, Derek said dismissively and turned to leave again. I won't be back tonight, so don't wait up for me. Derek, this direction you're headed in isn't good, Uncle Eric said, concerned. I told you, it's my business and not yours, Derek repeated coldly and opened the door. He paused for a moment, then said, She, and trailed off, hesitant. What? What is it? Uncle Eric asked. He was encouraged that Derek had more to say. Nothing, Derek answered irritably. He didn't know why, but when he walked out of the house, he slammed the door behind him. He took a deep breath. Whatever goes on with Millie is not my concern, he reminded himself. When Derek walked away from the house, he saw a group of his less than upstanding friends lingering outside. Derek, what took you so long? We've been waiting forever, a girl complained. Yeah, let's go. No one is allowed to go home if we don't drink tonight, a boy with blue hair shouted. Let's go, the group chanted as they walked toward the intersection. From inside the house, Uncle Eric watched through the window as Derek walked away with his friends. If he had been worried about Olivia, he was definitely concerned about the bad influence these friends had on Derek. He sighed heavily. I don't understand how this happened. Derek is a good kid from a good family. Why does he act like this? Derek disappeared down the street, and Uncle Eric sadly turned away from the window. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Millie, Camilla, and Cameron exited the hospital together after they visited Lena. Sorry you have to accompany me to the hospital, Millie smiled at Cameron. It's fine, Camilla waved her hand nonchalantly. It's his shift to protect everyone's most important study buddy. How else will any of us pass our tests if something happens to you? Millie laughed. She sensed Camilla had just come up with that excuse for Cameron to accompany her. At least she's on her side, Millie thought gratefully. Camilla caught Cameron's eye and winked. Right, well, I just remembered that I have to go pick something up. Cameron, you've got Millie's duty under control, right? I'll meet you at home later. What is it you need? We can all go together, Millie offered. Oh, no. Camilla rolled her eyes. For being so smart, Millie can be so dumb about boys, Camilla thought. I need to do this on my own. It's something, well, it's not convenient to bring a boy along, know what I mean? You guys go on. Go, I'll see you later. She gently nudged the two of them in the direction of Millie's place. She waved goodbye and hurried away in the opposite direction. Cameron shook his head sheepishly after his sister. Just then, a message vibrated on his phone. He subtly opened it and saw it was from Camilla. It read in all caps, You're welcome for giving you some alone time. Now make the moves. Cameron was stunned for a moment. Make the moves? Oh my God. His cheeks reddened. Millie, who still stood beside Cameron, smiled awkwardly. Camilla got out of here pretty fast, she signed to him. Cameron quickly put his phone away and nodded. Thanks for keeping me company to visit Lena these past few days. Millie signed and smiled. Cameron shrugged, smiled, and signed back. It's no big deal. Lena's reaction to finding out it was Delilah that made Amanda fall instead of Lena dragging her down with her was pretty funny today. Millie signed. Lena had wished she was the one to cause Amanda pain. Millie recalled the disappointed look on Lena's face when she found out the truth. The memory made her giggle all over again. How much money are you going to ask for? Cameron asked in sign language. Well, taking everything into account, we should really ask for $1 million. Millie signed and raised her eyebrows. We don't want to overdo it, though. Besides, Amanda just isn't worth that much. She paused for a moment and thought about it, then continued to sign language. I think we'll be able to settle for around $200,000. Cameron nodded. It seemed reasonable to him. The two of them walked side by side down the street. Without having discussed it, they both walked at a fairly slow pace, as if neither of them wanted to make the walk last as long as possible. Other pedestrians passed them by in a hurry. Are we walking slow? Millie asked Cameron in sign language. Sorry if you want to get home faster. You can take a taxi. I'm not in a hurry. I'm just going to keep walking. Cameron smiled. I like walking with you. He signed back. Thanks. I'm glad we're both not in a hurry. Millie signed and smiled. She shyly kept her eyes forward and continued walking at their leisurely pace. As they walked together in silence, Millie could hear the music coming from the shops as they passed. They continued side by side like that for a while. Millie spotted two people in the distance exit one of the shops and make their way onto the sidewalk. They looked like they were going to hand out leaflets. Maybe a new shop just opened, Millie thought. Suddenly, a group of children rushed forward from all directions and ran towards the people handing out flyers. They scrambled around Millie and Cameron and jostled Millie as they passed. Hey! Millie exclaimed as one kid knocked her off balance and continued running down the sidewalk. Cameron instinctively reached out and grabbed Millie's hand to steady her. Even after Millie regained her balance, Cameron realized he did not want to let go of her hand. So he didn't. Here's a big move for you, Camilla, he thought sarcastically. Millie's cheeks flushed slightly as Cameron held onto her hand. She was happy he did not let go. Without saying a word, they continued walking hand in hand. Just then, a few girls walked out of a coffee shop not far behind Cameron and Millie. The girl on the left with heavy makeup cursed. It was Delilah, but she hadn't noticed Millie and Cameron just now. It's all because of Olivia and that Millie girl. It's their fault I got expelled from school. And then they blackmailed Amanda Wayne's family. Even killing them wouldn't be enough to get back at them. I hate them, Delilah vented. Yeah, we were totally outnumbered. The other girl sighed as she looked down the street. She stopped short, stunned. Isn't that Millie right there? Holding hands with Cameron Pell? She gasped. One of Delilah's friends snapped a picture of Millie and Cameron from behind with her phone. This is evidence that might come in handy. Too bad you got expelled right as things are about to get interesting at Marshall, she sneered. Delilah gritted her teeth. Don't worry. Just because I'm expelled doesn't mean I can't get revenge. I could get used to this, Millie thought dreamily. She knew that they were getting closer, and soon she would be home. The longer they walked, the more she and Cameron felt that the road was much too short. As they walked holding hands, they both wished Millie lived 1,000 miles away. Millie dreaded the moment they would have to part. She looked up at the night sky above them and looked around and pointed to a small restaurant across the street. We're almost back, but do you want to get dinner first? She asked Cameron in sign language. Cameron looked where Millie was pointing and nodded. He gently squeezed her hand and appreciated how soft it felt in his. Millie smiled and led him to the traffic light at the intersection. When the street light turned green, they walked across, never letting their hands go. For some reason, Millie felt like holding hands as they walked in front of stopped cars felt like an even bigger deal than when they were holding hands on the sidewalk. She shook her head and decided that was silly. Once they reached the other side of the street, a group of people had also just crossed the street on the opposite side of the intersection. "Hey, isn't that—" A boy in the group suddenly stopped in his tracks and gestured at Millie on the other side of the street. He narrowed his eyes and tilted his head to get a better look. "Huh?" Derek asked his friend, and then looked in the same direction. Just then, a car passed by and blocked his view. "What are you talking about?" Derek's friends eyed each other and decided not to say anything since they were almost out of view. "Forget it," the friend answered as he put his hands in his pockets. "It's nothing. There's still 10 seconds left on the light. Let's go, hurry up," another friend urged. Derek turned around and followed his friends to cross the intersection in a hurry. On the other side, Millie and Cameron pushed open the door and walked into the cafe. They sat down at a table for two and hesitantly let go of their hands. Cameron subtly moved his finger in his lap, still thinking about the feeling of Millie's fingers intertwined with his. A waitress brought them some menus and Millie gripped hers tightly, not sure what else to do with her hands after so much excitement. After they ordered, they continued talking. Millie felt a little useless commenting on things she saw on the menu. Cameron smiled and nodded, but he wondered if he was also thinking about their walk where they just held hands for a very long time. They kept using sign language, and if Millie could not understand something, Cameron used a pen and paper to write it down for her. The two of them glowed as they sat together, and it didn't matter what they were talking about. The rest of the world around them disappeared. I could see myself staying in New York City. It's familiar and there's lots to do, but I don't know if I'd be missing out on something new. Millie sighed. I do like it here, though. I'm not sure if I'm leaning toward going somewhere else for school, at least for a few years. It's probably the best time to do it. Cameron looked at Millie and then casually signed. Would you be willing to move to Chicago with me after we're married? Huh? Millie said, stunned for a moment. Then she laughed nervously. What do you sign just now? Did I misunderstand what you said? Because it looked like you said... Cameron pulled the piece of paper towards him and paused briefly before he wrote his question down. It said, after marrying me, would you be willing to leave New York and move to Chicago with me? He looked up at Millie, then added to the paper, if you don't want to go to Chicago, I can stay in New York with you. Millie felt her face get hot, and a lightheaded sensation crept over her. Isn't that thinking a little far ahead? Millie blinked. Right now we're, She stammered. I don't know if we're even boyfriend-girlfriend yet. Millie thought, I don't actually know how he feels about me. We haven't even talked about it, and now he's starting with this? He smiled and shook his head. He wrote on the paper, not too far ahead. Maybe we can talk about this later. Millie rested her head in her hands and felt how hot her cheeks were. She looked at Cameron and felt her heart skip a beat. That she didn't want to run away screaming felt like a good sign. What do you like about me? She asked. It was Cameron's turn to blush. Millie felt a little embarrassed when she saw Cameron's reaction to her question. It's okay, just tell me quickly. I think if we're talking about what you said, I should know this part too. Cameron thought for a while and took out another piece of paper from his backpack. He wrote something on it before folding the paper and handing it to Millie. Open it when you go back home and you're alone. I'm too shy to have you open it now. He signed. You basically just proposed to me and you're too shy? Millie signed back, teasing. Okay. She smiled and put the paper away in her bag. You're so mysterious. Just then their food arrived. They laughed away the awkwardness of Cameron's sudden, indirect proposal and enjoyed their dinner together. After dinner, Cameron and Millie were out of excuses to avoid going home. Cameron dropped Millie off and waved goodbye, even though he could have kept talking to her all night. Millie sat by her bedroom window and watched Cameron disappear down the street. She sighed deeply. I still don't know why he likes me, she thought. Millie got up and dug through her bag until she found the piece of paper. She sat back down and carefully unfolded it, her hands trembling slightly from the suspense. Okay, Cameron, why do you like me? Millie said to herself and scanned the note. The words Cameron wrote on the paper read, Because I am me, and you happen to be you. Millie ran her fingertips over the words on the paper, and she couldn't resist smiling. Classic sneaky, Cameron answered. Millie giggled. But he didn't even tell me his feelings properly before saying he wants to get married. Millie exclaimed, and her face flushed. This is crazy. Even if he did tell me how he felt, and did it all in the right order, would I even say yes? Getting married? What a wild idea. Millie sighed deeply, and she folded the paper back up in her hands. She thought about Cameron's words, and then her happy glow dimmed slightly and her face fell. But what if you are still you, and I am no longer me? She muttered softly. In truth, Millie didn't fully know who she was. As an orphan, she'd never known her biological parents. What if I find out who I am, and it's someone I don't want to be? Her thoughts drifted further away into the night, so far that she wasn't sure if things were real or if she was dreaming. Without even realizing it, she had slipped into a deep sleep. How is she? Is she dead? A female voice asked. No, not yet, a male voice answered. What should we do next? The woman asked. We can't let her die no matter what. We must save her, the man said urgently. Millie did not know where she was. She felt as though she was under a thick fog and couldn't see or feel anything. She only heard the two voices. Little Millie, promise me that you'll fight. Promise me that you'll survive, little Millie. The woman's voice sounded very distant. It echoed through the ethereal fog. Millie pressed her palms against her temples. She was hit by waves of pain. The harder she tried to remember fragments of these memories, the more the pain throbbed in her head. The pain felt like a sharp needle piercing through the back of her skull, and then growing and multiplying like insects scurrying around in her brain. Ah! Millie groaned and gritted her teeth through the pain. Suddenly, she felt vibrations in her pocket, and she awoke suddenly. Millie sucked in a breath of cold air as she gasped back into reality. She blinked and saw her room around her. She was drenched head to toe in a cold sweat. It was just a dream, she thought, relieved. Millie noticed her phone still vibrating in her pocket and picked it up. Hey, Millie said weakly. She rubbed her fingertips against her temples, still remembering the pain. She could not remember who those voices were or where she had heard them before. She decided if she didn't try to think about it, the horrible pain in her head would not return. You sound really tired, Olivia said on the other end of the line. No, I'm fine. What's up? Millie asked, trying to sound more lively. I'm just worried about you being at home by yourself while Lena's still in the hospital. Thought I'd check on you, Olivia answered. Millie chuckled. When did I become so fragile? I'm fine. Of course you are. I'm just glad to hear it from you and be reminded. I think I'm the one who's the real scaredy cat worrying about you, Olivia admitted. Millie laughed and continued talking with Olivia. As they chatted, she felt the remnants of the pain in her head disappear, and she finally felt relaxed. I do have another question for you, Olivia said. Do you remember the name of the orphanage you were staying in before Principal Yan adopted you? Millie paused for a moment, and she felt her stomach drop again. Why do you want to know? Millie asked warily. Does this have anything to do with my nightmares? She wondered. A jolt of pain seared through Millie's head again. It wasn't the same as it had been in the dream, but a dulled memory of the agonizing sensation. It still made Millie's breath catch in her throat. The orphanage? Millie stammered, trying to ground herself in the conversation. She pressed her fingers to her temples again, and that seemed to help. I know it seems like an out-of-the-blue question, Olivia explained apologetically. The Crawfords have been quietly investigating the disappearance of Mariana Crawford for years. Ever since Mason Crawford came to New York looking for you, I just have a hunch that... You think I might be Mariana Crawford? Millie finished Olivia's thought. I see what you're saying, but I think it's a pretty long shot. There's so many adopted kids running around New York that the odds that I'm the one they're looking for after all this time are 1 in a million. I just don't think so. You're probably right, and I don't mean to suggest this, but you're obviously nothing like the Crawfords, Olivia added. Based on your personality, you probably came from some family of geniuses who are out there figuring out a cure for cancer. Yeah, that makes sense. Millie rolled her eyes and smiled. She thought carefully, afraid for the pain to return, before she continued. A few years ago, that orphanage burned down in a fire. The director and one of the teachers died, but all the orphans were all right. Wow, that's terrible, Olivia said somberly. No wonder Chris stopped searching after looking into it, she thought. She quickly looked up the incident on her phone and scanned over it while she listened to Millie. I'm seeing that the fire was maybe caused by one of the orphans? Millie's expression became gloomy. Right. There were no cameras or anything at the time, and there were no witnesses as to what actually happened. The whole thing stayed unsolved. It wasn't you who started the fire, right? Olivia joked. I wish I had done it. Millie laughed darkly. But then I was too busy fighting off bullies, trying not to get beaten up and struggling to get enough food. I had more immediate needs to worry about and didn't have the bandwidth to plot arson. It didn't come up often, but Millie was used to casually discussing heartbreaking things from her childhood as if they didn't affect her. Other people often didn't know what to say, but she preferred to be breezy about it rather than have others feel sorry for her. Olivia felt bad joking about something so sad and serious, but she knew it was Millie's way of handling it. She smiled and replied, I'm glad you're in a much, much better place now, away from all of that. Olivia decided to change the subject to something she knew would make Millie happy. By the way, I'm sorry I wasn't at the hospital today. I got swamped with other stuff. Did Cameron take you home? Olivia asked suggestively. He did, yes, Millie smirked. And you didn't let him stay overnight, apparently. Olivia jokingly sighed as if she was disappointed. No, it wasn't that spicy. Millie rolled her eyes and laughed. We walked back together and decided to get dinner nearby before he went home. Wow, you walked home? Olivia exclaimed in surprise. That's a long walk from the hospital to your place, an hour at least. I know. Millie smiled shyly. I don't know why, but when I'm with him, I always want it to last as long as possible, and I dread having to say goodbye. So we took the longest way home, and he didn't seem to mind at all. Sounds like maybe you do want him to stay overnight, Olivia teased. You could stay up all night, talking. Yeah, Millie nodded sarcastically. I don't have your dirty mind. Come to the dark side, it's fun, Olivia laughed. Then her smile faded as she moved on to a more sincere question. So you really like him, huh? He's the guy? I do really like him, like a lot. Millie smiled, but her face fell slightly. She thought about Cameron bringing up marriage so confidently, and the idea had made her happy, but the uncertainty of the future weighed on her. She would not share that detail with Olivia. But who knows, no one can say for sure what will happen in the future. Life is long and not a fairy tale. Things come up. You don't have to worry about all that now, Olivia said comfortingly. It doesn't have to be so heavy, just enjoy it. I know, Millie groaned. I'm just being realistic. Millie did not dare to get her hopes up for the future. She knew it was probably because of the harsh lessons she learned as a child growing up in that horrible orphanage. Between going hungry and the frequent beatings from the other kids, any hopes she had for a better life were always crushed by the reality around her. She had learned it was easier not to hope for better because then the cruel daily disappointment didn't hurt as much. Things working out and being happy isn't unrealistic necessarily, Olivia countered. Have you asked him what his deal is? What does he like about you? I did ask him, Millie replied. He said, and I quote, because I am me and you happen to be you. So poetic, Olivia said in a dramatic voice. Then did he say he wanted to see your sleeping face every morning when he first opens his eyes and asked to stay with you tonight to quietly experience the beauty of the dawn together? Something like that? No, but that's pretty good stuff. I hope you use that on Chris. Millie chuckled. Her laughter died down and she felt pessimistic again. I like him and he likes me, but I don't even really know who I am, where I really came from. No matter who your family is or where you came from, you're still Millie we all know now, Olivia said firmly. To me, and I'm sure to Cameron, you are you just as you are. No new information will change that. Thanks, Olivia. Millie nodded in relief. Whenever something is bothering me, I can always talk to you and you'll remind me everything will be okay. I'm so glad. It's an honor to be your friend, Millie, Olivia said and meant it. You too, Millie replied warmly. Okay, it's late. We'll talk again tomorrow. Sounds good, Olivia agreed. She checked her phone for the time and her eyes widened. Oh, wow, it is late. Good night. Good night, Millie said. Then something occurred to her. Wait a sec, she added. Olivia had been just about to end the call, but quickly brought her phone back to her ear. What's up? If you still want to investigate my past, you should try checking in on some of the people who worked at the orphanage. Most of them are probably still in New York City. I can't remember the name of the orphanage itself, only that it had the word angel in it. It was called Angel something or something Angel, in case that's at all helpful. Thanks, I will give that a shot, Olivia answered gratefully. I'll tell you anything I find out. All right, Millie said. She felt a little flustered. If that nightmare I just had was actually a mysterious, unknown memory from the past, am I brave enough to face it? She wondered. How about this? She said, feeling resolved. If you find out good news, then tell me. If it's bad news, then pretend you found nothing. I don't want to know. Olivia laughed. You're too smart for that, and you'll see right through me. Have a good night. Maybe. Good night. Millie smiled. After hanging up the phone, Millie looked at her bed and felt too restless to try to sleep again. Instead, she logged onto her computer. She found a barrage of chat messages from Lena. Emergency, they all said. Millie quickly typed back to Lena. What happened? Why did you send me so many emergency messages but didn't call me? Millie watched as the typing bubbles appeared under Lena's name. I'm done for. Francis is on to me. I can't use the gamer bunny girl alias anymore, Lena's message said, followed by a skull emoji. What? How? What happened? Millie frowned and typed back. Millie knew Lena couldn't hide her identity forever, but still this was coming up so soon. Okay, here's what happened, Lena answered. Lena explained via chat message everything that had happened after Millie left the hospital. Lena had logged into the game on her laptop to play with Francis and Carlton under the Gamer Bunny Girl name. She rallied them to fight a boss in the game together and talked to them using a voice-changing software so that she could use her gaming headset without Francis recognizing her voice. That all seems like it was a pretty good plan, Millie answered in the chat. I know, and it was until at the last minute Carlton, that idiot, betrayed us at a really important moment and I started cursing. I was so mad. Lena typed. The nurse was right there and told me to lower my voice because this is a hospital. I forgot I was still on my headset and that the guys could probably hear her. Oh no, Millie thought as she realized where the story might be headed. Millie read Lena's next message with her hands over her mouth. I say hello and there's total silence. I hoped that maybe I had just lost signal because it's spotty at the hospital. But just when I was about to restart, Francis asked me point blank, Lena, is that you? Francis asked me, are you Gamer Bunny Girl? Lena typed. Millie's jaw dropped. This is an emergency. No wonder Lena sent so many messages, she thought. Millie typed back. So what did you do? Did you tell him? Of course I couldn't tell him that. I pretended that the signal was bad and logged out of the game as fast as I could, Lena's message said. On Lena's side of the conversation, she closed her eyes and put her forehead down on her keyboard. She wanted to disappear. She looked back up at the screen and continued to type. He tried calling me and I didn't dare answer. I turned off my phone and I'm just gonna say it was dead. What do I do now? Can I still keep up the lie or am I ruined? Francis isn't stupid. Lena covered her face with her hands. This is all Carlton Perry's fault, she thought. If I had known he was going to screw us over like that, I never would have played with him. She was so angry and upset that her stomach hurt. This is a tough one, Millie typed back. Have you told Olivia? No, I'm worried she'll say it's all my own fault for not telling him in the first place, Lena answered. How do you know that I won't say it's all your own fault for not telling him in the first place? Millie teased. Because I know you and you're extra nice, Lena answered, grinning. Millie messaged back. Fine, you're right. So what should I do? Lena asked. Millie thought for a moment and then typed. All you can do for now is get some rest. I'll talk to Francis tomorrow and gauge what he's thinking. Don't get your hopes up too much. Lies have a way of coming back to bite you. Lena typed, I know. She sighed heavily and thought about how the mess was definitely of her own making. But this is the only way. I'm such a big coward, he can't find out the truth yet. Millie messaged back. Just go to sleep and try not to think about it too much. You still need to focus on healing that leg first. Okay, good night, Lena typed. We'll see what happens, she thought to herself. Millie typed good night back to Lena and turned off her computer. Lena. Millie shook her head and sighed. The next day, before Millie could find Francis, she found other trouble of her own. She saw a crowd of students huddled around the bulletin board, and she stood on her tiptoes to see what the fuss was about. Some printed out photos were posted for all to see of a guy and a girl holding hands while they walked down the street. Something about it looked familiar. Then Millie realized, that's me and Cameron. Whoever did this really had nothing better to do. Millie thought, annoyed. Wow. Sam Feinstein whistled at the photo and stared at everyone else. Why am I always the last to find out about these things? I thought we were all friends, guys. Olivia swatted the back of Sam's head with some papers she was holding. If we're all friends, then why don't you help me take down the pictures? Olivia glared. What's the point? The whole school has seen this by now. Sam shrugged, but he pulled one of the pictures down anyway and quickly tore it up. Shut up and get to tearing. Morgana grabbed several photos and went to work. Faster! Sam hissed at Morgana, offended. Why are you all mad at me? I didn't do it. I, too, am a victim by association. You're not exactly helping, Morgana scolded. I will have justice, Sam retorted. Millie looked at the photos. There was nothing wrong with them or what they were doing. But seeing this strange angle, like they were being spied on during one of the happiest private moments of her life, made her feel violated. She also realized she had never taken a picture with Cameron before. This being the first one saddened her. It felt like that had been taken away from them. Well, looks like someone's been keeping a secret. No one expected her to be hanging around with boys at night, but she's full of surprises, isn't she? An irritating, nasally voice said from behind them and cut through the chatter. Everyone scowled and turned to see who had spoken. It was a member of the disbanded Transfer Student Success Club who had just barely apologized the day before. Even Delilah, who was expelled, stood among them. Delilah glared at Millie with disdain. You seriously have nothing better to do than stalking people and taking pictures? Olivia frowned. Chairman Johnson, don't be ridiculous. We didn't put up these pictures. If you don't believe me, go check the security camera footage, since you're so good at that. Delilah snorted coldly. When did they allow non-students to come to school and meddle in Marshall's student business? Olivia shot back. You were expelled, if I remember correctly. What are you doing here now? Are you trying to get escorted out? What do you care what I'm doing here? Delilah scoffed. I'm allowed to come back to campus to collect my stuff, aren't I? She glanced at the photos of Millie and Cameron again. I'm also kind of curious about the standards at this school. They kick me out, but they don't care what she's getting up to at all hours of the night. It's none of anyone's business, but especially not yours. Morgana snorted. You don't belong here anymore, and I'm tired of seeing your face around here. Speaking of your face, get out and find the right makeup while you're at it. You look like a sweaty orange. Delilah stared daggers at Morgana. Who do you think you are? I would watch what I say if I were you right now. Olivia interrupted Delilah. You all are on thin ice as it is. Delilah glared at Morgana, still unsure who she was. They knew she was also a transfer student like them, but they had never tried to recruit her. They had no idea where she came from or who her family was. She seemed impossible to intimidate, and the energy she gave off was unsettling. Something about her is weird, Delilah thought, narrowing her eyes. We don't have to go back and forth about this here anymore. Jake Nevin smiled and stepped forward. Let's see what Principal Yin has to say about you all trying to frame us for putting up these pictures. You've had it out for us from the beginning, and this is just more proof. Getting us disbanded wasn't enough, I guess. Perhaps Principal Yin will reinstate us as a repayment for this injustice. Millie looked at Jake in the eye as he laughed at the photos of her and Cameron. Why is he such a dirtbag? She wondered. She couldn't remember the last time she wanted to slap someone so badly. Oh right, that was Amanda Wayne, Millie remembered. She flexed her hand, fighting the impulse to smack Jake right in the face, when suddenly she felt another warm hand take hers. Millie looked up and saw Cameron smiling pleasantly at her as he intertwined his fingers with hers, like it was the most natural thing in the world. She couldn't help smiling back. Everyone gasped in shock. Even Olivia and the rest of their friends were surprised to see the gesture really happening right in front of them. It was so different to see Millie casually holding the hand of Cameron Pell of all people. Hey, I'm talking to you, Jake barked. What do you think you're doing? Why are you yelling? Millie coldly asked Jake, then turned to Olivia. We'll go to the principal's office. See if that gets Jake here to quiet down. Okay, Olivia nodded. You don't need us to come with you? We'll be fine. Millie shook her head and confidently walked hand in hand with Cameron in the direction of the principal's office. As they walked away from everyone holding hands, they looked exactly as they did in the photos on the bulletin board. Everyone watched Millie and Cameron walk away in stunned silence, but Olivia could hear the explosion of thoughts popping into the students' heads all around her. Wow, they don't even care. Since when was Cameron Pell into Millie? They look pretty good together. Jake snorted angrily and followed them to Principal Yan's office. Principal Yan looked over some papers when he heard a knock at the door. Come in, Principal Yan called out to whoever had knocked. The door opened and he was pleased to see Millie walk in, quickly followed by a boy Principal Yan recognized as Cameron Pell. Something is different, Principal Yan thought, but couldn't put his finger on it. Suddenly he realized Millie and Cameron were holding hands. Principal Yan's stomach dropped. Millie has a boyfriend?